Good morning, and welcome to Coffee with the Birds. We're officially starting. It is 9:30, and Rick's got me picture-in-picture here to those of you online. I'll try to be looking. I see the camera I'm on right now, so I know where to look to address you all. Welcome to Coffee with the Birds, those of you online, at home, or wherever you are. And welcome to my in-person audience here for Coffee with the Birds. My name is Curtis Dykstra. Parks Naturalist and Program Supervisor with Ottawa County Parks. This is the third of 4 Coffee with the Birds for this season, and we're excited to join with you again today. What is Coffee with the Birds? We're going to explain that. Any first-timers here for online or in person? First time, hey, a special welcome. Yeah. And if you're a first-timer out there online, let us know. Whether you're first time watching online, you've been in person before, or you've never been a part of this program before, let us know in the comments. And I am going to be watching the birds and attending to the audience here and attending to the audience online, so you have to give me a little bit to respond to comments. I'll do my best. But a special welcome to those of you who are new. But what this is an informal time for us to enjoy birds. Not only birds, but coffee and pastries, especially for those of us who are in person, but you, hopefully at home, have your own coffee and donuts or whatever it is you like to enjoy. Maybe it's tea, maybe it's hot chocolate. It's fine too, we've got that here. But it's a time for us to enjoy coffee, pastries, birds, and community coming together for a common interest. And I say interest, and a common passion, right? Something we love. We love the birds. It doesn't matter if you are someone who has just been watching birds in the backyard, you like your cardinals and the robins and such, and have never gone on a bird walk in your life. Or if you've been birding all your life and you've traveled to countries all around the world looking for birds. This place is for all of us who enjoy birds to whatever degree. But we are going to focus on the birds at the feeders, and I'm going to interrupt myself, and I'll come back to our sponsors and things in a moment. But we have got some special visitors at the feeder right now. On feeder 4 and 3, we have pine siskins and American goldfinches. We were waiting for them to arrive, and they arrived just right on time now, which is great. They were not here while we were setting up. I heard them in the trees, but we have been inundated by a huge flock of pine siskins, which are the streaky looking ones with a little bit of yellow in the wing and the sides of the tail. And then the ones with the yellow faces and the green backs and black and white wings, those are the American goldfinches. They hang out together. They're both small finches, and they love the sunflower hearts at the number 3 and number 4 feeders. Yesterday, I peeked out at about, it's hard, I didn't do an exact head count because I'm moving around so much, but I estimated at least 100 of them, pine siskins alone out there yesterday. So we'll see what numbers we can get. They often will start to accumulate on the ground as well. But pine siskins and American goldfinch. We've got on number 5 here a downy woodpecker eating the suet. We've got a red-bellied woodpecker back behind number 10 and 7 on the tree. We'll see if Rick can keep up to us. There's a cardinal behind in the brush pile too, so be watching for that to come to number 8. Yeah, it's right behind number 8 now. Oh, and something spooked them. We've got American tree sparrows on the ground along with juncos. The tree sparrows are the brown ones with the gray breast and the spot here. Do you see a blue jay? It's got to be the blue jay that disrupted things. They do that. Blue jays coming in for a look. They'll sometimes even mimic hawk sounds. Yeah, red-shouldered and red-tailed hawk. Cooper's hawk, I've heard them do all 3. And so they'll kind of bully around a little bit. There's a hairy woodpecker just to the left of number 10 on the crossbar there. We've got juncos on the ground. They're the dark gray ones with the white bellies. And chickadee on number 7 just went back behind. We've got the hairy woodpecker on the screen. Nice catch there, Rick. Hairy woodpecker. Notice the size of that bill. Huge bill. sticking out from its face. The downy woodpecker, its bill is very, very short. The hairy woodpecker is also 2 inches larger. Oh, cardinal at 4, and there's a nuthatch also behind. There's the nuthatch is over by the hairy woodpecker now, and coming down to number 1. He's on number 1 now. So I think our online audience gets to see that too. On number 4 is a cardinal, and the nuthatch is going over to number 4 too. It's gotten really busy all of a sudden. And the red-bellied is up here. Oh, it is up on the woodpecker tree there, right on cue. Nice, Rick. So red-bellied woodpecker, we're trying to keep up with our, for our online audience. I'll get to your comments here in just a minute. The action is so intense here right now. We're just can't stop. There's a mourning dove that just came in. Boy, we're gonna get quite a lift here. The mourning dove just flew in back behind, above the brush pile. What am I missing that we've seen? Squirrels and chipmunk too. Chipmunks too. The chipmunks have been active more this winter than any other winter because it's been so mild. Here comes a mourning dove, and there's the cardinal, probably coming to number 8 in a moment, hopefully. He's right behind number 8. So those of you online, be watching number 8, and hopefully it'll come in for you there. Tree sparrows, yeah, you can show the tree sparrows again if you like. Wow. Yep, and the cardinal, if you haven't gotten that, but like I said, that one should come into number 8. That's their favorite feeder, the cardinals. So, wow, there we go, right off the bat. And I can't forget to thank our sponsors here, but I'm going to wait for things to like level out just a moment. A male hairy. Oh, on number 4, and it just flew off. There's several cardinals out there. They're just not coming all the way to the feeder, except for that one at number 4, which was not on our online viewing. He's sitting back behind number 8. He's still sitting there, so I'm waiting for him. Oh, there! Now he's in the brush pile behind number 10. And there's a female down below. Yeah, oh, down by the juncos and sparrows and things. So this is some of what we do when we do Coffee with the Birds. When the bird activity is great like this, we identify the birds, we point out different things, but I'll also field questions from people, stories, local bird sightings, things like that. We've got the American tree sparrow on the camera now. Nice shot of a tree sparrow. Notice the yellow lower mandible on the tree sparrow. You can see that on the, we've got the picture right here in the room too, so those of you online, on the TV screen, they can see what you're seeing. They've got a rufous-colored cap. They've got a gray breast with a little light spot in the middle there. Wow. Is it coming to the suet? They don't really eat seeds, so normally they'll be eating berries or insects and things. So we've got a comment here that somebody is seeing a yellow-rumped warbler. There's a tufted titmouse just above number 10 there. That's a new one. He's coming into number 1 now. You can see him on number 1, those of you online. That there's been a yellow-rumped warbler. It's actually Jeannie, our photo contest winner, is seeing it at her place. Probably coming to your new feeder. Yeah, see? She won a feeder, and look what that new feeder has done. Thanks to Ken and DeBrine Seed for that wonderful feeder that's attracting some awesome birds to Jeannie's yard, right? But they are on the increase overwintering in Ottawa County. And that's because we're having milder winters. This is a species that typically winters in the southeastern United States and southern United States all the way across, and hasn't historically wintered here. But they have been finding a way to do that now. They're still unusual, highly unusual, but we're finding them more consistently. Like every year have several reports around the county of them sticking around. So we've got our siskins and goldfinches back. And while we've got a little bit of a lull, I'm going to finish off my little intro here, okay? All the boring stuff. I said what Coffee with the Birds is. This is part of it. We'll also field questions, comments, stories, local bird sightings with the audience here. But then, and we'll do feeder ID. Whoa, did a hawk come through? What happened? There's a nuthatch on 4. Everything departed. But there's still some birds that are actually active, so I wonder if it was a false alarm. Because if it wasn't a false alarm, these woodpeckers would be just sitting tight. So questions, curiosities, stories, we'll field those. We'll identify birds at the feeder like what we've been doing. I have a birding tidbit presentation at 10:30 in the other room, which will be online live streamed as well with a second link, which I'll give to you in the comments in a little bit toward the end. But you can also find it at www.miottawa.org/birding if you click on the Coffee with the Birds icon. So thank you to our sponsors, Simpatico Coffee, for helping sponsor the coffee you are drinking, shade-grown, bird-friendly coffee from the tropics to keep habitat intact for birds. Washtenaw Islands Audubon Society for donating money to help pay for the bird seed. The Friends of Ottawa County Parks for providing hot drinks other than the coffee. DeBrine Seed for sponsoring, we buy our seed at DeBrine's, but we also get prizes from DeBrine's. They have sponsored us that way. They have also been advocates for this program, letting their customers know about the program, so we really enjoy our relationship there with Ken and Caleb and the crew, so thank you. If you're watching, let us know. I know you were on last time. If you're out there, let us know. I was there the other day, and they were eagerly anticipating another Coffee with the Birds. So thank you for your sponsorship. And last but not least, thank you to our Mug Club members. Raise your mugs. If you are a Mug Club member, whether you're here in person or not, thank you for your sponsorship of this program and feeding the birds. It takes a lot of money to feed those birds. They're hungry. And it takes a lot of resources and time and things to put this program together, so your support is necessary and is so appreciated. $25 is a membership. We had mugs. The mugs are now sold out. That doesn't mean memberships are sold out. We'll still take a membership. There's still $25 if you do purchase one online. We can't get you a mug. Apologies for that. But you still sponsor this program and help it to run. So thank you so much for that. And remember that next year, you got to get them early or they're gone. So let me see if I can respond to a few things online here, and then I'm going to take some audience questions here too. So it looks like Carl and Judy say, good morning from West Park Township, counting birds for Great Backyard Bird Count Weekend. And that it is. I put the link in the chat if you're online, but it is the Great Backyard Bird Count Weekend, sponsored by Cornell and several other agencies, where it's trying to encourage people to get out, count the birds wherever you are, in particular at your bird feeders, but you can go anywhere and count the birds, and it goes for research. The Great Backyard Bird Count over years and years and years accumulates lots of data that can help us learn and understand bird populations and better care for birds and conserve the birds we love. So check out Great Backyard Bird Count online. All you have to do is Google search that, and you'll come up with the link. If you're here in the audience, I can't show you that link. Janet Cross says, good morning, Curtis. We are enjoying coffee and red velvet cookies. Oh, man, can I come over? That sounds good. Pam says, did anyone do the Merlin bird trivia event this past Thursday on YouTube? I did, and it was really fun. I am not aware of that, so send me the link. I'd like to know more about that, Pam. There apparently was a YouTube event. And then, and she says, thanks for the presentation last month on the Cooper's Hawk and the Sharp-shinned Hawk, because that helped her get the question correct on the quiz. You're welcome. Anytime, Pam. I love it. Good morning, Curtis from, oh, and come on, where's Pam? It's Paula. Yep. Or it's Paula. Calling on Paula. I said, too many P's. I'm reading Pamela, and now I'm going to Paula, so I'm sure. Paula is getting a good morning welcome from Professor Laura in Oklahoma. Whoa, all right. And Marissa's mom, Suzanne. So thank you for checking in. And Rita is saying, Jeff and I have noticed how vibrant the male cardinals have become. Is it early due to mild weather? Boy, that's hard to say. I think their colors have a lot to do with their diet. So I'm not sure. Oftentimes during midwinter, they do get really gloriously red. And some of that is because they're standing out against the white snow. Some of it's probably due to diet and new feather molt, things like that. But I'm not sure if it's particularly any earlier this year. All right, wow, I got through the online questions. All right, do we have any more in-person questions or IDs? And if you see something that I need to pay attention to, let me know. The goldfinches are definitely turning. They start right about now. They'll start to get, the males will start to get brighter yellow in the face. You might see patches. Oh, we had a cardinal on the screen. Cardinal on the screen. They'll start to change, especially as we get into March. You'll see even more. You'll start to see those yellow patches on the males. So be on the lookout for those changes as they head toward May with their bright, bright yellow. Usually mid to late April, we're looking at bright yellow males. So yeah, those changes should be starting up. Has anybody else been seeing goldfinches starting to change? Yeah? Okay, look at that. Nice. So one thing about the pine siskins is they are pretty skittish. Okay? They come in a huge flock, and all it takes is one to jerk one direction, and then they all go poof, like that. But they were accumulating on the ground over here and on the feeders, so our numbers are building for pine siskins. Chickadee on number 1. They come and go. They don't usually stick around. So just so you know, we've got 32 people watching online, and I think we're beating that here. So far we're ahead of that in our in-person audience. But questions? Yeah. When do you hang bluebird boxes? Is the question, and I would say any time now. By the first week in March is probably good. They're starting to get territorial here earlier and earlier in the season because more and more of them are sticking around. And when that happens, they're gonna, we do get them overwintering. Where's he at? Flying or perch? Was it a big one like a red-tailed or a... How far back are we talking? Oh, way over on the edge of the river, okay. One of the last times we had a red-shouldered hawk. I'm guessing it's a red shoulder. That's... Oh, I see him flying across the river now. Oh, and there he goes. 2 red-shouldered hawks. Nice spot. Nice spot. Yeah, I saw them both going that way. I'll trust you on the ID. And that's what we've been seeing along the river here is red-shouldered hawk. They nest nearby, and they've been overwintering, which is historically hasn't been the case either. Have it been on repeat, right? All these species doing things like that. And so they'll often perch along the river here. They don't often come into the feeders. Cooper's hawk will. And that's why you saw the birds continue to feed here. They really don't mind the red-shouldered so much. The Cooper's hawks are the ones that hunt them at the feeders and that they don't like. We got northern cardinal on our screen, the female. And we were talking bluebird houses So if you have bluebird houses out already, clean them out anytime now. Late February is probably a good time to clean them out, get them ready for nesting, because they'll start those nesting activities and territorial activities already in March. So now would be a good time. Do you? Already? Yeah, Rick is saying that he has a picture of them already territorially fighting in his yard. So now is the time. We got to move that clock back a little bit now from what we're used to. Generally, so the question is, do they need to face any certain direction? And generally speaking, they should face south. That keeps it out of the wind and weather for the most part. So as much as you can have it facing south, but you could fudge that a little bit, I'm sure, depending on where it's at. Yeah. So Jeannie is saying bluebirds have been on a house already, and they will actually use them as roosts over winter. So sometimes they'll be on them just because they're using them as roosts, but they may even be getting territorial already. So watch the bluebird behavior. If you have them overwintering near you, then it's all that much more imperative that you get them ready sooner. So we got the cardinal. Nice shot of the male cardinal there. And we had a question. We had another question down here. Did you have a question? Yes.
Should it be far from the house?
The bluebird feeder, does it need to be far from the house? It doesn't necessarily have to be. So it depends on where the bluebirds are. So I've seen bluebird feeders right next to houses and bluebirds coming into them. However, if the bluebirds don't frequent that spot or come close to it, or they're not used to, then they may not. So I've been experimenting with it here. We have bluebirds overwintering out in our meadow here, and I have fed mealworms out here for quite some time, but they've never come to the mealworms here. So I put a mealworm feeder out there. The mealworms have been disappearing, but I've never seen a bluebird on it. I think the other birds are getting it, and I need to refill that. I haven't in a while. But so test it out, try it out, and see what you can do. And if you have multiple feeders, you can put one further out and one closer in, and see if it draws them closer. Yeah. Titmouse is above number 7. Oh, he was. There often was and not is anymore, right? Lots of tree sparrows on the ground. Does anybody remember early in the season we didn't have very many tree sparrows? They're a later season, like when it gets cold and the seed crop starts to dwindle where they're hanging out, then they come to the feeders. So they don't often show up right away. Our large flocks of tree sparrows happens in mid to late winter. We've got quite a list of birds this morning. Yes?
Hey, is there birds of prey that are nest building right now? I was watching hawks out in like the burn-ups area, and they were building a nest, but every time the male brought like a branch, the female would sit in it just to make sure.
Yep.
And so I wasn't sure if like that's normal behavior just for
Yes.
Yeah.
So the question is it normal for birds of prey to be nest building right now? And the answer is absolutely. In fact, some birds are already on nest. The great horned owl, which actually doesn't build a nest, they steal them, but they're already on nest. So, but birds like red-tailed hawks and such should definitely be active. Barred owls too, they would be nest building. Some of our winter resident hawks would not be because they're going to be leaving, but our resident hawks could already be nest building. That doesn't mean that they're about ready to lay eggs. I've seen the eagles nest building in December, and they don't lay eggs until March. Okay, so resident birds could be doing that at different times of the year, but yeah, definitely they could be nest building right now. Question?
We had our resident mallard couple come up to feeder yesterday. Are they already nesting too then? Or?
So question is, our resident mallards, oh, we got Canada geese flying over. We'll add it to the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5. The question was, mallards, are they already nesting? Probably not. It's a little early for them. They don't really typically start till May. If there's food, though, they're eating food at your feeder.
But they're already paired up.
They might be. So ducks, waterfowl usually pair up in the winter, but they don't necessarily start nesting right away. What they'll do is they'll migrate together. So they all congregate south for the winter. They pair up and they fly back to wherever she's from. That's how the genetics actually keeps it diverse. So geese don't do that. They stay in these little groups, and so that's how we get all these genetic variations of geese, all the different sizes and things like that. Whereas ducks do it different. So there's your little fun fact for the day. That's the simple of it. I'm not a geneticist, but I can at least tell you that makes sense to me when I read about it. I've got some online comments here too. Let me quick go to those. I just put the website for the, what's that?
The junco was getting chased by a leaf that was blowing the wind.
There was a junco getting chased by a leaf getting blown by the wind. That's fun. Thank you, Pam. She put the website, where did you, I lost my place here. I put the website for the recorded Merlin ID trivia from last Thursday. I'll look for that then. We had several cardinals today, June Kuiper is saying, and one female cardinal has no tail. She seems to be doing well, though. Sometimes that happens. Oftentimes it's a predator that takes a tail. So a Cooper's hawk might take a tail. Better to lose a tail feather or two than your life. And they can manage. It's not as easy for them to fly, but they can manage. So they'll grow back. They do grow back. So it will not be forever. I saw a pine siskin without a tail here yesterday, so I feel bad for them, but then I feel good that they made an escape. Quite. Yeah. Go ahead. Question. How far apart should bluebird houses be? What we've been trying to do, which seems to help, is actually put them up in pairs within about 5 feet of each other. And the reason we do that is because we have tree swallows. And so if you put them all spread around, then they'll all battle for all of them. The tree swallows with the bluebirds. But if you put them close enough, then a bluebird can take one and a tree swallow can take the other, and theoretically get along. But each pair or each one house, if you don't have tree swallows, don't do that. If you just have bluebirds, put them about 100 yards apart is what I've read. So you want some decent distance. And if you don't have a lot of habitat for them and you only see one pair around, it might be that only one box is all you need. So it all depends on your habitat and things. We've got the blue jay. Does that help? Yeah, and the Bluebird Society, Michigan Bluebird Society, will have some great information on that too. If you look them up online, they might be able to speak a little bit more in depth on that. That's a nice shot there, Rick. I like it. Blue jay, my favorite backyard bird. Yeah, some people might give me grief for that, but that is a stunning bird. Stunning bird. There's two of them out here. The blue jays. A couple of comments here. Oh, one more from Carl and Judy. We have mealworm feeder about 10 feet from the house, and the bluebirds use it often. Okay? What do we see? Oh, look at all the cardinals. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cardinals at least. 6. I see 6 cardinals at once. 7 cardinals at once. We've got 7 cardinals here. I wish we could show them all to you at once, but we can't. But they're congregating around number 8 and on the ground and then by the bird bath. To continue with this comment here, Carl and Judy, and they know birds, trust me. If you know Carl and Judy, they literally helped write the book on birding in Ottawa County, the annotated checklist, okay? They've been feeding birds for years, and they get bluebirds to their feeder about 10 feet from the house, and they use it often. Biggest problem is starlings, and they can clean out the mealworms in a matter of hours. So that is an ongoing problem. There's probably not an easy way to mitigate that. And then, oh, red-bellied woodpecker on 4. Red-bellied woodpecker, that's the female. You can see the gray forehead on the female as opposed to red on the forehead. The males have red all the way to the forehead. I think Rick is trying to pull it up here on his screen. There, yeah, good job, Rick. Rick is doing an excellent job over there. Tell you what, top notch. Thank you, Rick. And I've got another comment here. Let's see. Thanks for this event. It's a fantastic way to start my Saturday. Well, I'm glad we can be a part of it, Hope. Thank you so much for the comment. I'm loving days like this. We got lots of people. We got lots of birds. Makes me happy. Let's see. Look at all the tree sparrows. I think this is the most tree sparrows I've seen yet this year. So we've got probably 5, 10, 15, 20 plus, 25 tree sparrows. Several downies here now. There's one on number 5 again. There's only a few juncos spread out in them. It's probably half to a third the number of juncos. And for those of you hearing the sounds, take a listen real quiet. You hear the twittering? That's the tree sparrows. They make that twittering sound. Oh, the male red-bellied is on 4 now, Rick. Come on, get it back on there. Come on, before he flies. You can actually see the red belly. Do you see? Oh, Rick. You got the tail end of him, didn't you? Rick's got a lot of things he's managing over there. So, wow. Yeah. Let's see, what birds are we even missing off our list up there, Rick? Oh, house finch I think we don't have. Oh, something spooked him. What else do we not have? I think we've got them all.
Have there been any purple finch sightings?
No purple finch sightings this winter here. But be watching as we get into a month from now. We should start seeing them come through. You could see them now. Oh, okay. You had them. Okay, so there are a few around then, maybe. So, and you had them too. Okay, so I take it back. Multiple people in the audience here have had purple finches. When they migrate, we typically see them. If you don't see them all winter, you see them late April into March, or excuse me, late March into April. I know what my order of months. Late March into April is a good time. Yep, blue jay in the back brush pile, and we got a comment here from Pam saying, yes, thanks, Rick. So we got online thanks to you as well.
Did anybody get to see the snowy owl this year or not at all?
I'll get to that in a second. One final comment, because I like the joke. I like the dry humor here, Barb. The juncos are all at per. Whoa! I was thinking she was referring to the purple house finches. Per house, she said. The juncos are all at per house. Maybe I lost it. But per house, you know, the purple finches and house finches look a lot alike, so we can call them per houses or per finches. Purple house finches. Be on the lookout. If you see a house finch, it may be a purple finch, or if you see a purple finch, it might be a house finch. It's most likely a house finch. They're the more common one. Question in the back.
When do you think we would see a rose-breasted nuthatch?
Oh, the red-breasted nuthatch?
No,
Grosbeak?
grosbeak.
Oh, when would we see rose-breasted grosbeak? Not for a little bit yet. Very end of April into May is when they show up. So yeah, unfortunately, they're a little while yet. The red-breasted nuthatch, we have not been seeing this year, so I'll comment on that. But They are around. I've seen them other places, but they've just not been at our feeders here. There's been a lower number, I think, of red-breasted nuthatches around this winter, and that happens with that species. Some winters we get lots, some winters we don't get as many. But we do not have them at the feeders this year, which is actually fairly unusual for us. This is usually one of the strongholds for red-breasted nuthatch, whatever the season. So, oh, Barb says autocorrect. Our house. The Juncos are all at our house. Is what she. Thank you for that, Barb. Lots of Juncos at Barb's place. And did we have another question? Yeah.
So we have more house finches than anything at our house. So one house finch.
If you want.
We were on the drive over here. We were reminiscing that when we moved to Ottawa County in 1986, we occasionally see pheasants, but I don't remember the last time. Are there any pheasants in Ottawa County anymore?
And as you were asking the question, I was remembering we had the snowy owl question. So I'll answer both of those. We have two questions. Both are similar in nature. Are there any snowy owls around? And where are the pheasants? To answer the snowy owl question, no. There are no snowy owls around. There have not been any snowy owl sightings in Ottawa County in over a year. We had just a week to 10-day window last year where there were up to 2 that showed up down in Friesland, and that's it for last year. Other than maybe a couple of pier sightings. This winter, we've had no sightings in Ottawa County, and there was only one sighting at Muskegon Wastewater, and that was way early in the season, and they haven't even been there. So I believe they're seeing them now, up in the UP, which we'll talk about in a little bit, one of the most famous snowy owl places that you can go pretty much any winter and see them. But no, they have not been around this year at all.
Project Snowstorm just tagged their first owl of the season a few days ago.
Oh, wow. Carol.
Someplace northeast, I'm not sure.
Okay, so this epidemic of lack of snowy owls is widespread because Project Snowstorm, which tags snowy owls for research, tagged their very first of the season recently. So it seems to be a poor year. Maybe the food on the Arctic tundra is not good. And you think, well, wouldn't that push them down? Actually, it means that less chicks survive, smaller clutches, and so we don't get very many coming down this way.
There's a website, or there's an organization called Destination Wildlife, and if you go to that the person who owns that has a recorded or an interview with Scott Whitensall about the snowy owls and why we're not seeing them and everything, and it was very good.
Okay, so Destination Wildlife website. If you can send that to me, Carol, I would love it. Destination Wildlife website. There's apparently an interview there with Scott Whitensall, who heads up Project Snowstorm, and he talks about the lack of snowy owls this year and what's going on. So I'll want to check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Check that out. So pheasants, thank you. See, I need that. I need that. I need you all to kind of keep me on track. Okay, so if I've forgotten your question, please take no offense. Just remind me. Pheasants. When I started even 11 years ago, we were seeing pheasants fairly regular in certain places that seemed to be a breeding population. Since that time, I rarely ever see a pheasant. And if I do, it's typically in the area that there's a pheasant farm, like a hunting farm. And I have resolved myself to believe that, oh, look at them all, they all went, that any sightings of pheasants any longer in Ottawa County are suspect as released birds for hunting preserves. And I wish I didn't have to say that. I mean, we are the heritage of Michigan's pheasants right here. The first release of pheasants into Michigan was just south of us here in West Olive. There's a little historical marker just down on 136th. We are the epicenter. This was one of the best places in the state to hunt pheasants. But if you see them around, they're likely released birds now. The habitat reduction, probably impact on insects and the things that they eat, with increase in use of insecticides and things like that. But it's loss of those hedgerows, that habitat that they so need, that they just have not been doing well. Yeah.
Our funny story is back this would be in Georgetown Township in the early 1990s. Our preschool daughter comes running in and says, "Mommy, Mommy, there are peasants in the front yard."
So the
But just for the record, we did not have peasants.
I don't know if you all caught that online, but young daughter was observing pheasants in the yard and came up to Dad and said, "Oh, there are peasants in the yard. There are peasants in the yard." Oh. There was one at Harbor Island.
Well, I didn't see it, but it was reported a number of times. I think
Well, it is hard to say. It is hard to say because they don't even necessarily tag the released birds. I wish that there was a regulation that they would have to tag the released birds, but there's not apparently. So there's not a real good way to tell them apart. I thought if you saw a female that it meant that it was not a released bird because they only release males, but I was wrong. They actually will release females as well. And I don't know if they do that in hopes that they are naturally breeding out there. I don't know. But for pheasants.
So my grandpa runs a pheasant hunting preserve out towards Burnups, and some people like to hunt the hens. So they do
Really?
They release hens and the roosters. And the season is coming to an end, but even the ones that like survive the hunting, they really don't go to breed because the hawks out there eat them right away.
Okay.
So there are a lot of them out there, but there's so many predators, coyotes and hawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the coyotes, we got someone here who you said it's your dad runs it? Or your grandpa, whose grandpa runs a pheasant hunting preserve and says that some people like to hunt the females, the hens, and that pretty much anything that's left after hunting gets picked off by the coyotes and the hawks. And is that, do you think, because they're fairly domesticated, like they're not as wild in blood?
They're in the pens with like blinders because otherwise they peck each other like just to death. Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
So when they get out, they can survive, and there are sometimes like we do see chicks, but it's just so rare that they actually are able to succeed.
Yep.
Because they're domesticated-ish.
Yeah.
They get fed every year.
Gotcha. So, but the naturally occurring population is, if it's not gone, it's very close to gone, and would be hard to decipher from the non-natural. Let me take a look here real quick and see. Oh, Carl and Judy said we have 1 red-breasted nuthatch all winter and 2 yesterday, and Janet Hasselbring is saying, what is the website with Scott Weidensaw? If somebody online can look that up real quick and post it in there, or maybe Carol, if you want to get that would be great to put that in the chat here. Otherwise, I can email that out later too. Song sparrow. Look at that, Rick. You got to get my attention. We got a song sparrow on the view. This is another one of those species. Remember, I'm on repeat that historically has not overwintered here. But in recent years, more and more of them have been overwintering. In fact, 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I started, it was, oh, hey, we got a song sparrow. That's cool. And people would go and see it, whatever. Now, you almost find them in good habitat. And good habitat for them is actually along the river's edge down over here. The cattails and the brush along the river in a wet area. And we're close enough to the river that he comes to the feeder sometimes. So notice he's really streaky on the breast. He's got reddish on the cap, but he's got a striped cap. He's got reddish breast. He's got a real big dark blotch on the breast. Looks a lot different than the American tree sparrows. But this bird is a year-round resident now. I might as well just say it. They're a year-round resident. We don't get as many of them during the winter, but they are numerous in the...
I just sent it to you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'll check.
To your work.
To my work email? Good. They are numerous, plentiful breeder in the springtime. And usually, I used to say that the harbinger of spring was March, when things start to warm up and you hear that first song sparrow singing. Guess what? I already have heard the first song sparrow sing. You know, when we had that little bit of warm weather, heard them singing. But that's probably one that's been overwintering, not a migrant. So, yeah, things are changing. Things are changing. I'm going to check my email real quick because Carol sent the website to me, and I'm going to see if I can't put that in the chat there for everybody. And then I can send that out. If you are on my email list, I will send this out to you on the email list too. If you are not, go on to miottawa.org/birding. And, oh, good, I got it. Yes. And click on the, I think you just enter in your email address into the join the email list thing and follow the instructions there. And then you will be on my email list, and I will send that out. Copy hyperlink. Here it comes, those of you online.
We got to give a plug for that organization. I just got back from a tour that they sponsored, and they sponsored tours to different sites as fundraisers for different organizations. And so this was a fundraiser for Project Snowstorm. So I got to go north and everything, and
I remember you were telling me about that now. Yeah, so
awesome people. Highly recommend it.
So Carol went on a trip through this organization, and they help sponsor Project Snowstorm, and they lead these trips. She highly recommends the trips that they do. So check them out, destinationwildlife.com, and check out the interview. I can't wait to watch it. I want to find out more about it. So, yep. Nice, nice. And he's a great author, too. Scott Weidensaul writes a lot of nature-related books, and he's also the head of this Project Snowstorm. But check him out as an author if you like nature writings. He's definitely one to check out. We need to pay more attention to the birds out here again, don't we? Anything new coming? We got downy woodpecker here. We've got, we often don't get mourning doves during the session. So we've got that up on the screen there, which is great. They're not a rare bird, but they're so wary that if there's anything going on, they're out of here. They often come early morning and late in the evening. So it's nice to see them hanging out at the feeder. That means that everything's relaxed out there.
What kind of seed?
What kind of seed?
Yeah.
So we've got a question about what kinds of seed do we have out here. So if you look at number 3 and number 4, that's all sunflower hearts. And that's basically a black oil sunflower seed out of the black husk. We get that at DeBrine Seed. It's sometimes labeled no mess because they don't have to open up and put the shell on the ground. It's really nice. It also is less work for the birds to get at the seed, so they love it. That's our most successful seed out here. Number 1 is a mixture of the sunflower hearts, but it also has peanuts, and it has some finch mix with some Niger thistle and some millet. So there's some seeds that are offered multiple different ways, and that's to accommodate different types of birds that like to feed different ways. So this open feeder here, number 1, is easy for the chickadees, the titmice to come in, grab, and go, because that's what they like to do. And then all the finches can cover up number 3 and 4, and then they don't have to. Then the chickadees and titmice don't have to mess with that. So some of it is how you offer it. Number 10 back here is suet. So that's a suet cake. That's 100% suet. There's nothing mixed in it. You can get those at DeBrine too. I recommend it. And then you can take a knife and I smush the suet cake into the holes there. And that provides a natural stand for them to hang on to and eat the suet. Number 5 here is raw suet. We had donated. And we do that only in the wintertime because it's cold enough outside for the birds to, or for the suet to stay good. Number 7 is another different way to feed the sunflower hearts. So that's also sunflower hearts. Number 9 is finch mix. You can get that at DeBrine as well. That's a mixture of crushed up, really small crushed up sunflower hearts mixed with black Niger seed or thistle and millet. And the finches really like that. And then at number 8 over there in the green feeder is sunflower seeds in the shell. And so we do still feed some of that because some of the birds like to come in, grab it, and go store it away somewhere. And you can't do that unless it's in the shell. So on the ground, we have a mixture of cracked corn, millet, black oil sunflower seed. I think there's some milo in there. It's the Junco. I get the Junco mix at DeBrine. Tends to be a good one. Junco mix, right? Belongs on the ground. That's where the Juncos feed. So that's what I've got. The what's that now? Oh, so there's a question about the limb on number 1. Oh, we got a chipmunk. Thank you, Rick, for adding the mammals to the to our guest list. Check that out. Look at the chipmunk cheeks. That's cute. That's cute. The question was about number 1. You see I've got that limb on there? So that actually is because if I take the limb off, the camera that's aimed at it aims at the trees right through the middle and way beyond, and the feeder stays out of focus. So typically we don't have a limb on there, but we needed something on there so that the camera would focus on the feeder. So it's a camera trick, is what it is. Because when I came in, before I had put the limb on there, I saw it and I was like, oh, it's all fuzzed out. So I put that little limb on there to catch the camera focus. Yep. It is 10:22. It is time for me to start to wrap this up. My goodness. Yeah. Wow. Now all of a sudden that time flew. That time really flew. Those of you online, I'm going to post something here in a moment. I want to thank you. Hold on. Here we go. For joining us online. We'll be back online on March 16 for our last one of the season. I'm posting that right here. And then if you want to continue with us today, which I hope you do, follow this link here that I'm about to post. And, oops, and you should be able to watch a presentation on, did that do it? There we go. Winter birding in the Upper Peninsula. So today's birding tidbit is on a trip that I took to the UP in the winter to do some birding. And I'll talk about some of the places to go, things to do. I have some resources and things too that are in the in the description of that video, so you can find those there too. And in just a few minutes, if I'm a little bit after 10:30, don't worry, I will get that going here. But you have to switch to the other link to watch that. We're going to be cutting this stream here in a moment. And but I want to thank you for joining online. Those of you online, thank you to those of you in person for joining us in person and making another successful Coffee with the Birds. And thank you. And make your way into the great room. Get some coffee on the way, another donut on the way. Find a seat in there, and we'll get started with that presentation in just a little bit. So thank you, everybody online. You can cut my mic, Rick, and we will see you at the presentation here in a minute.